Hinge has evolved like crazy and is currently one, if not the most popular dating app. So knowing how this app works and how to get the most out of it is crucial. In this video, we're going to talk about how to create a great profile, what features Hinge has and how to utilize them, what doesn't work and what you should avoid at all costs if you want any form of success, and some tips and tricks we learned over the years. Now, the reason I know this is because I own an online dating management company called Ovalo. We manage the dating profiles like Hinge for entrepreneurs and set dates for them in their calendar. But let me first give you a breakdown on how to create a profile the right way. First, let's start with the basics. Go to the Play Store or App Store and download Hinge. Fill out your basic information like age, height, and the basic information that you require. Now, within Hinge, they give you the option to skip some information, but in general, this is not something we recommend because the better your profile is filled out, the better your results are going to be. Obviously, if you don't want to fill it in right now, make sure that you fill it in tomorrow or the day after. What you need to understand about your profile is that you only need to make it one time and you constantly have results from it. After you went to the next step, you get the step where you need to add photos. Now, Hinge works a little bit different compared to most other apps. You see, with Hinge, they require you to have 6 photos, while with Tinder and Bumble, you're fine with like 1 or 2 photos. This kind of creates a problem because a lot of people don't necessarily have like 6 great photos of them. They might not even have like 3 good photos. So whenever this is the case, what you will see a lot of people do is they will actually have photos of other things that are not them. So they will add photos of the sky, of nature, of food, but everything except them. If you don't have 6 great photos of you and you haven't set up your profile yet, don't set up the profile yet and wait till you have 6 great photos. If you already have a profile, what you should be doing and thinking about is how can I get the 6 good photos as soon as possible, because this is a game changer and will do lots of good things for your profile. Another thing that you should take into consideration when it comes to photos is that in general, people will judge you based off your worst photo. That's in general the photo that people will swipe left on and will decide like, hey, this is not a person that I actually want to date. After that, the thing that you're going to have to fill is in prompts. And in prompts, there's multiple types, but in general, you need to start with the 3 written prompts. So as you can see here, I have 3 written prompts. And when you click on them, you can select one out of, I think over 100 options that you can click, and then you fill in some information about it. So this can be information about who you are, for example, or what you're looking for, or what you enjoy. So in general, you have a very broad range of types of prompts that you can add. Besides written prompts, there's also other prompts. So for example, at my photos, you can see that it has prompt underneath it. And what this means is that there's a prompt attached to the photo. The photo is an answer to a prompt, right? So for example, found this on my B-roll is one, or not my prettiest side is one, or woke up like this. So let's take a look at the prompts that I have and based off of the photos. This is, for example, my good side. This prompt has leave a word review for this, right? So the idea behind that is to induce back and forth. And that's the same with prompts in general with the written ones, because with Hinge you don't have the option to add a bio, what you have with Tinder and Bumble. The way that they changed it is like, hey, we want to have information about you, but what we're going to do is we're going to have it in a written form, which is the written prompts. Now, besides those prompts and the photo prompts, there's also other types. So for example, you have a voice prompt, and this is where you give an audio response to a specific prompt that they have. You record an X amount of seconds and tell something that the other person might find interesting or controversial, or etc., etc. The goal is to make yourself more attractive or to give some extra information about you. Besides that, you also have a video prompt. So in the video prompt section, you can actually add a video. But in general, voice is something that you want to focus on because for multiple reasons. So one, you can actually practice this. So the goal should not be to like, oh, let me just quickly pick one, select recording, and then be outside where it's windy and have like a prompt somebody can barely listen to. The goal is to have a prompt that's optimized. So make sure that you're in a location where you don't have a lot of echoes, where there's no noise in the background. Potentially make sure that the microphone is close to your mouth so you actually, audio quality is better. Do some test runs, listen to it backwards, figure out which one you want to go for, write out what you want to include in there. And when you record it, you want to make sure that you sound nice. If you do all those kind of things, you're going to win compared to the other people. And that's in general what this video is about, is making sure that you get good results from dating apps so you find a partner. Now, what you can also see is that you have polls. So here you have a poll and like, what would you rather? The idea is that you come up with something that people would like to reply to, right? So what would you rather? Steal my fries, steal my hoodie, or steal my warm socks? So the idea behind this is that this is all something that somebody else would want. Therefore, they will click on it. Now, lastly, the things you're going to fill into your dating profile is your dating preferences, right? So obviously, you're looking for something. You're looking for a person within a certain age range. You're looking for somebody who is a certain height. There's a bunch of preferences that you can fill in that Hinge will use those preferences to recommend you people, right? They don't want to recommend you like 50 different people and you're going to swipe left on all of them, because that is not good business for them, right? They want to set you up with people that you also want to get set up with. So for example, I'm interested in women, like in my area, like 45 kilometers away maximum, right? You have an age range that you're working with, like an ethnicity, a religion. So those are all things that you can fill in into your preferences. That was it for setting up your profile. Now let's talk about how to actually use Hinge. So in order to do that, we have the different icons in the bottom bar, right? So first we gotta go to the liking part. It's a feed. You get people recommended to you based off of a Hinge algorithm that they think you might want to swipe right on or that you might want to like. So here you see the photos. As we told you prior, here we have 4 photos of the person or the 6 photos of the person. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And here you can see evidence number 1, evidence number 2. Her photos were finished. She didn't know anything anymore to put it up. And she put like a quote. Now, obviously, you can put up a quote as well, but in general, that's not something that you want to go for. You want to show who you are, right? Let's show your hobbies. Now, when you analyze her photos, it's just her at a salon, or her at the terrace, it's her at a festival or something, and it's her in front of a white wall. So in general, her photos is mostly about her. Now, the lucky part for her is that like guys swipe right 75% based off of looks. But like as a guy, it's a little bit different. So you want to show a little bit more about your hobbies, interesting places, etc, etc. So in here you can see that I'm changing my mind about the fact that humor is the most important link in a relationship, right? So apparently she wants a guy that is funny. So what you would do is, if you like the person, you add a heart. If you like it, give it a heart. And here you can see we can add a comment. So you can add a comment based off your like. So for example, I completely agree with this, or well, that's a problem because I'm actually not funny at all, right? And then what you can see as well, you add a comment in the bottom left area, you can see here, this is actually like a rose. So we'll get to this in a little bit, but this is something that you need to remember. And then you can send a like or you can cancel. Now we go to the next section, and this is standouts. Every day you get 10 different profiles that Hinge thinks like, hey, this guy must really like this person. So like Hinge has a bunch of algorithms and they like try to match, and like standouts is kind of like the people that Hinge thinks like those are the biggest likely to create relationships or create matches, etc, etc. The question is, well, what you should think about right now is like, how comes they're in standouts? How comes they're not just in the regular feed? Because Hinge could also decide to just put that in the top ones, right? Anyway, we'll get to that in a little bit. In order to swipe it, we cannot normally like it. We can only use a rose. And with roses, you only get 1 for free every single week. So understand there's 10 profiles here and we're only getting 1 for free every single week. Now, obviously there's ways to get more, so we'll get into later. But that's kind of like how standouts works. An interesting fact to compare standouts with Tinder is that with Tinder, you will get an overview of the most attractive people. Hinge standouts are not the most attractive people on the app, is who is most compatible with you. In that regard, you can decide if Tinder is better or not, but that's just how Hinge operates. The next section is people that have actually liked you. And this is interesting because this is different compared to like Tinder. Because in Tinder, you cannot see anyone for free, right? You better pay up. But with Hinge, you can see people for free. So the only difference is you only see one profile, right? So here, if we go to the top right and we click on all, you can see here, San, she sent me a rose. Like we discussed, those are the one in a week that she has for free. If she didn't buy extra, that's also the reason why she went all the way to the top. So using a rose will make you go all the way to the top in their likes you section. So this is a very important thing to think about, because like, let's say a person gets 100 likes in let's say 1 week, right? And let's say 20 of them are roses and 81 are normal. She will first see the 20 roses. So she will have to swipe, let's say you're number 21 and you're a normal like, she will have to go to those 20 profiles before she's able to see a profile, assuming she hasn't paid. Now, if you pay for the app, what you can see is like you can see these other profiles. But now I cannot see. I click on it and they want money. That's what they want. They want money. So at this point, it's like, okay, it just doesn't work out, right? So a lot of people will just only have the free, and then they will just only see like the top profile. So in the likes you, what you can do is you click on the person, and then you can go to her profile and decide like, hey, I like her, yes or no. And then the same principle works. The X is for don't liking, and the talking is for do liking, right? Now we have the part where the matches show up. We have 3 different sections. So your turn, we have their turn, and we have hidden. What Hinge wants is that you reply to the people that have messaged you. That's why it's highlighted and the others are like closed off. So they incentivize you like, hey, make sure to reply to this message because somebody's messaging you. That's why it's in bold. So once I reply to this person, they're going to move to the section of their turn. So instead of it being my turn, it's their turn. And if they don't reply, that's the problem. They will stay there. So if you don't remember that, go back to that section and start reopening the people that you have conversations with. What ends up happening is you will just lose a lot of people. So definitely if you don't have a lot of matches, but also like go do this normally, is like open that tab and go to conversations and try to keep going. Like say something else, reopen like, hey, our therapist says we need to talk more. Make something funny, right? The goal is to have an active conversation and to close those people so you end up in a relationship or have an amazing dating life or whatever your goal is. Now, obviously, this is something that we do for our clients, but you can do it as all yourself as well. Just make sure you do it like, let's say once every 3 days, go into that tab and go do the back and forth. So let's talk about the subscriptions that Hinge has to offer. So if we click here, we can see that Hinge has Hinge Plus and Hinge X. So with Hinge Plus, what we're getting is you can send unlimited amount of likes. Normally, there's only a capped amount of likes that you can send. Besides that, you can see everybody who likes you. So in the Likes You tab, after that, you can see all the profiles. So you don't have to like go one by one. You can just search for like, okay, this first person's picture looks nice. So then you analyze that, right? Saves you time. You can set more dating preferences. So if we go back to the main settings to like swiping, you can see here age, height, dating intentions, etc., etc. So there's more and more things that you can filter on here. You can see subscriber preferences. There's a lot of different things that you can filter on, which normally you couldn't. Besides that, you can filter all incoming likes. Therefore, you can be more specific. So the goal of like the plus things is kind of like to make you save a lot of time. And now we have the Hinge X. So with Hinge X, you can enhance recommendation. You understand? So they will not show you the best recommendations based off the fact that you need to pay for it. Next to it's like skip the line. So skip the lines means get recommended to matches sooner. So when they're swiping, the chance of you popping up is higher. When they have priority likes, your likes stay at the top of their list. Besides those subscriptions, what we also have is boosts, which is the same as like Tinder boost. Like it shows you up to more profiles in a certain set of time. So you can see, get seen by 11 times more people. And here, one boost $10, 5 boosts $8 a piece. So as you can understand, those are quite pricey, right? And then we have roses. What we talked about, like sound like super likes type of thing. So if you click on here, 3 roses, $3 each, 50 roses, $1.50 each. I will give you a very good way to like how to use money and get the most out of it, but I'll do that later on in this video. What you need to understand when thinking about buying and thinking about paying for the dating app is that it depends on some factors. There's an equation when it comes to online dating, and the equation is like profile times exposure times texting results into dates. And in general, you probably want to have dates and find a relationship and like succeed in that way, right? So your end goal is dates. But what you need for that is a profile, but not just a profile. It needs to be a good profile. You need exposure. Well, paying gets you better exposure, and you need texting. Paying has zero effect on your texting. So understand that if you want to succeed with the dating apps, make sure you invest into your profile first. Make sure you know, hey, I'm gonna change some photos. Make sure you have 6 quality photos where you have different variety, etc., etc. Then you can choose like, hey, in order for me to get better results and more results quicker, let me just do some exposure and buy some booze, buy some roses, buy some subscription, etc., etc. And let me make sure that I know how to text, right? If you want to get better at texting, make sure you subscribe and like the video. Anyway, when you actually get dates, there's also an equation in order for you to get a relationship. So it's the amount of dates that you have and the amount of skills that you have. And in order for you to convert those dates, it matters like how many dates are you actually getting and how good are your skills. The better your skills are, the less dates you need to actually succeed and get into a relationship. So before we talk about what you need to avoid, let's talk money. All apps want money. That's just the reality. And what a lot of people don't realize is that dating apps cost a lot of money. They're like, why is this not for free? But then again, like if they try to take a bus, they're like, they don't expect the bus to be free. They don't expect insurance to be free. So a lot of people wish that, oh, it's just a simple app. Yeah, but you need to realize that like these apps are investing millions and millions and millions in order to run. To be honest, I completely agree with you, because like I wish apps will be able to function for free for everybody and have good results. But that's kind of not like how the world works. To give you an example, Bumble, which is in the top 3 biggest dating apps, in 2022 had a loss of over $100 million. So you need to understand that these apps, they're burning a lot of money. So for them, it doesn't make sense to give you the best experience in your whole life and for free. It's shitty, but at the same time, these apps are amazing for getting people in relationships. Over 50% of all the new relationships are formed through online dating. So it makes so much sense to spend some money on it. Before we talk about all the things that you need to succeed, let's talk about the things that you should avoid. Number one is swiping everybody. This is the strategy that back in 2015 everybody was using, but you should avoid at all costs. You see, Hinge actually learns from the swipes that you do. So if you're just swiping everybody, it learns nothing. It just learns that you like everybody. That's not a very good way for them to actually be able to recommend you the people that you might like more. Number two is empty prompts or prompts that are horribly filled in. You'll see that a lot with like very pretty girls that they just take zero amount of effort for them to fill in the profile. Now, some people can get away with it. If you're Brad Pitt, go ahead. If you're super attractive with everything down, you might get away with it, but you will still get better results if you actually choose to go to the route of like making a proper profile that has prompts that are interesting. So make sure that you don't fill out your prompts super bad. Next is you want to make sure that you avoid nature photos, bad photos, selfies, all those kind of things. Make sure that you invest into your profile. Like, you're supposed to find your wife, and in that regard, there's some things that you should do in order for you to reach that goal. And lastly, number four is massive lies. Please don't go to the route of like making massive lies about things that are very important for the other person, right? Try to limit the amount of adjustments that you make. And I'm not 100% against making some small tweaks or adding an inch, like whatever, sure. Make sure that those things are not obnoxiously big changes that when the person sees you, they're like, what the heck is this, you know? Keep it within the limits, please. Now we know it doesn't work, let's cover some important information. First is the quality went down. Like what we discussed with Bumble and what you've seen a lot with Tinder and other dating apps is like after a while, they're going to push harder and harder for monetization. This means that their goal is to make you pay. What we can expect for now and the foreseeable future is that they will spend more and more energy trying to not get you the best results, like some results, it's not the best results while on the dating app. The second important thing is that the algorithm is based on likes. So whenever you're in a liking mood and you're going to swipe a bunch, remember that what you swipe now is also something that you'll be swiping in a week or in 2 weeks. Third part is that your prompts should be funny and show who you are. Like spend some time on it, read through the different options. Google like, hey, what are finding prompts? Like do those kind of things in order to put yourself out there in the right way. Lastly, if you cannot find Hinge in the Play Store or in the App Store, make sure to download a VPN because it might just be that you're in a location that Hinge hasn't rolled out to officially yet. So now we covered the important information. Let's cover how to succeed on Hinge. But a quick side note, if you want to learn more tips about online dating, make sure to subscribe because we're releasing lots of videos, informational videos about how to succeed on dating apps. So you probably don't want to miss them, so subscribe. First thing is that we pay to thrive. Now, you don't necessarily always need to spend money, but it will enhance your experience very much. Now, let me explain what I think the logic is behind like trying to extract money from you. So what I think that they're doing is as follows, right? So we have the subscription of like Hinge X, and like Hinge X, what the Hinge X is going to do is going to give you enhanced recommendations. So they already know who you're mostly likely to match with. So they're going to like hide it from you. So that either way they are in standouts or you just don't see them in your regular feed and you have to buy like Hinge X. So once you've purchased that, what they're going to want you to do is spend more money. So what's the next thing that they want you to spend your money on is use roses. So one, you have to pay to see the people that you're most interested in. And secondly, you need to pay to match them efficiently. Because what you need to understand is like matching with roses has a crazy high degree of matching compared to normal matches. Definitely if they're more attractive. Therefore, you need to pay to match and you need to pay to see them. You pay both sides and then there's no more money for them to extract at that point, right? They already have all of it. But that's kind of like the route that they're going for. Second part is that your photos matter most. You can spend ages on trying to create a cute prompt, but if you're like 500 kilo overweight, you wear a shirt with sweat stains and you're making a selfie, like it's not gonna do anything. Like it doesn't matter how funny you are. There's limitations to how far jokes can get you. Choose variety. choose quality. So with quality, what we're looking for is like preferably photos that are taken by a photographer, for example. So instead of having them taken by an iPhone 5 years ago, the ideal is like having them taken by a photographer with a good camera. The second point is that you see it as an ongoing process, like your profile and texting and the whole experience itself, like see it as like something that you will improve on over time. Very few people like they start and have an amazing profile. Now, obviously, we deal sometimes with clients who are like YouTubers or content creators or models or like people that are very attractive and have tons and tons of photos. We never have to ask them like, hey, can you get a photo shoot? No, like he'll send me like 500 super high quality photos, and then for us it's a matter of like, which one are we going to pick? But for the normal person, even for me, that's not the case. So therefore, it makes a lot of sense to like hire a photographer, which is the last point. Hire a photographer to get good photos. And a lot of times when you just hire one photographer, you often not get the best results. So sometimes you need to hire two. You're like, oh my God, it's a lot of work. Yeah, but you know what the payoff is? You know how amazing it is if you find a loving partner and you're going to be together with that person for like 20, 30 years. Big payoff. The next uncomfortable point is that looks matter. I know, very controversial, but it is something that we need to discuss. And if you might not be the best looking person, I'm not saying like, hey, go get plastic surgery. But what I might tell you is that it might make sense to go to the gym a little bit or watch what you eat a little bit more. So if you are in it, or just be okay with the people in your range. But in general, what you want to do is invest into becoming a better looking person, because it has so many benefits for relationships, but even outside of that. Next point is prompts. One of the things that you should try to get with prompts is that it's very easy to reply, right? Like as we discussed with the poll, for example, it was a super easy way for people to reply, because it was like, hey, what do you want? What are you going to steal first from me? My hoodie, my fries, or socks? Second point is like, it's good if it's a little bit funny, and try to make it a little bit cultural relevant. And after you've made some prompts, you don't have to instantly upload them to your profile. What you can do as well is find some of your female friends and be like, hey, Natasha, I'm working on Hinge. I'm trying to get a little bit of a better profile. What do you think about these prompts? Could you like pick the ones that you like best? Voila. You have some feedback, and like you don't have to figure out everything yourself. Now, the last point is learn the text. Like obviously you have a good profile, you understand how Hinge works, all those kind of things. But the reality is that we still need to get to the point where dates are happening, because dates is all the fun part. That's what the initial goal is. So in order to get there, you need to know a little bit what to say. And if you're always saying, hey, how are you? This is your sign that it's time to learn a little bit about texting. Now you have a great idea of how Hinge works. Curious about what your experience has been on the app. And if you want to learn how to get a number and set up a date, make sure to watch our video about the closing framework. And if you're interested in us managing your dating profile so you never have to log into them anymore, click on the link in the description. Hope you have an amazing day and see you in the next video.